And dangerous storm, and it's headed for the Texas southern Gulf Coast. Warnings are up and evacuations are underway. We have details coming up. Good morning and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Marnie Stanier.
And I'm Bob Stokes. Now, Bret is expected to make landfall near Corpus Christi, Texas this evening or early tomorrow morning. For the latest details, let's go to Bruce Edwards in our forecast center.
Thank you, Bob and Marnie, and good morning, everyone. As we continue to monitor a very dangerous hurricane, Hurricane Bret's already bringing some locally heavy rains to parts of the South Texas coast, and eventually that area will feel the full effects of its 140-mile-an-hour winds. Now, South Texas residents have been getting ready for Bret since Saturday. They've been boarding up windows from South Padre Island to Raymondville, and 90% of South Padre Island has now been evacuated. The mayor says anyone who stays is in danger of drowning. And all up and down the South Texas coastline, people, as well as the stores, are boarding up to protect their property. Now, for details about Bret's location, its movement, and what we can expect out of this tropical monster, we go to our tropical weather expert, Dr. Steve Lyons, at our experts desk. Steve?
Thanks, Bruce. And we're monitoring very carefully with the hurricane reconnaissance as well. And we've seen the pressures continue to fall ever so slightly through the morning this morning. Still a very strong hurricane, Category 4, and when we look at our hurricane damage potential here, you can see it's right in the middle of the Category 4, which is extreme wind damage potential associated with this. Now, the thing to keep in mind here, there are two numbers to remember, 10 and 15. And the 10 and 15 is the storm surge potential in the direction that Bret is now moving is 10 to 15 feet, and the rainfall potential is 10 to 15 inches. Now, here's the latest radar, and you can see Brownsville down here. You can see it's moving just north of Brownsville now. That's a little better news for you, but you're not out of the woods yet. It's not all the way by you, and it's not inland, so stay where you are if you have evacuated. Now, up the coast, here's Corpus Christi, and you can see some rain bands coming in. Here's another big batch of showers lined up here, and watch out for some potential for tornadic activity in the right front quadrant, which is this quadrant here relative to these showers moving onshore. That's a possibility over the next 12 or so hours. Now, on our Doppler radar velocity potential here, we can see that there's the storm circulation center right in there, and what we're looking at is a relatively small, very strong wind area. So you could miss it if you're not right in the core of the winds, which would be great news, but you cannot risk the possibility that the strongest winds will get you. So if you've been told to evacuate, please do so, and don't do so hastily. Now, if you look at the latest visible satellite imagery and infrared satellite imagery, this happens to be the infrared, we see a very large central dense overcast. That's a cold cloud tops, and it's starting to give us an indication of where the system might move, and that's generally in that direction where that mid cloud and high cloud is elongating toward the northwest, which is in the general direction of the greater Corpus Christi area. But again, we stress, from Brownsville all the way up the coast, anybody in the hurricane warning area, you should be prepared for the worst. Okay? The time frame on it depends on whether or not it takes a little more westward track. That would be sometime this evening. If it takes a little more northwest track and moves up the coast, that would be sometime Monday morning. However, the Hurricane Center has shown the latest models indicating that, in fact, the system may slow down as it approaches the coast, so that time frame could slow down a little bit, and we'll keep you updated on that. Well, let's go back to the studio now with Bruce.
Thanks very much, Dr. Steve Lyons, our hurricane expert, tropical weather expert, on the latest on Bret. Now, along the Texas coast, a roadblock has been set up on State Highway 77 between Brownsville, Texas, and Corpus Christi to keep people away. However, our Kristen Dodd is at Highway 77 in Raymondville. And Kristen, what's the latest from South Texas?
Well, Bruce, as you mentioned, we are in Raymondville, and it is right on Interstate 77. And this stretch of road here in South Texas is normally very busy with commercial traffic. Not today. It's pretty dead, and this is the reason why. Right behind me, the Department of Public Safety has set up a roadblock blocking off 35 miles of Interstate 77, both north and southbound. Now, what their main concern is that once you get out into this lonely stretch of highway, you basically are just on your own. There is nowhere nowhere to hide from a hurricane. Flooding could be a possibility. And with the normal commercial traffic along this stretch, we also could see a lot of high-profile vehicles being blown around. So it's just not a safe area to be in times of a hurricane. The alternative route is just off to my right, 186, and then you head up to 281, and that will take you west and then eventually north. So that is the alternative, and that is the evacuation route. Now, we also have evacuated. Yesterday we were on South Padre Island, but mandatory evacuation orders were given there. We headed to Brownsville, and that's where we stocked up on our hurricane supplies. And we were not alone. The stores were packed. Hundreds of people just grabbing everything they could find. Food tossed all over the floor, cans everywhere. Much of the supplies were already gone. There was no bread, very little milk, not much fruit, and flashlights, of course, were totally off the shelves. And so it was a little bit maddening once everyone was just shoving and pushing. It was really a wild situation to be in. But fortunately, a lot of folks do have their hurricane supplies. They're taking this warning very seriously. And here on the South Texas coast, we are ready. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much. Kristen Dowd reporting live from Raymondville, Texas, just south of Corpus Christi, in the path of Hurricane Bret. Reminder, we'll have updates on the top and the bottom of the hour each and every hour, and at 10 before the hour, it's time.